Hello everybody and welcome to the first ever Jurassic Zack video. I'm Jurassic Zack and let's dive into today's topic. Today's video is on the time Dr. Alan Grant took down 3 velociraptors. Our story starts off in the visitor center. Tim and Lex are trying to hide from velociraptors who have been stalking them throughout the visitor center, while Dr. Grant and Gennaro are trying to get to them by using key cards they found, but the raptors are closing in on them fast, which leads them to the nursery. The baby raptor jumped on Tim's shoulders. His claws tore into his shirt. He fell onto his back, shrieking. "It's the baby raptor," Lex said as she pointed at the animal on Tim's shoulder. The little raptor burrowed his head into Tim's neck before jumping to Lex's shoulders and rubbing against her neck. Lex asked Tim why she was doing this. Is she scared? Tim only replied with, "I don't know." Passing the raptor back to Tim, she started jumping up and down, chirping, and kept looking around. One thing's for sure, the little thing was worked up. "Tim," Lex whispered. The door to the hallway hadn't closed behind them once they entered the nursery. Now, the big velociraptors were entering the room. First one, then the second one. Tim knew they had to get away. Maybe the baby raptor would distract them. After all, it was a baby raptor. He plucked the little raptor from his shoulders and threw it across the room. The baby screamed. There was a high-pitched shriek. Tim looked back to see the baby in the jaws of the adults. A second raptor came forward and tore a limb off the infant, trying to pull it from the mouth of the first. The 2 raptors fought over the baby as it squealed. Blood splattered in large drops all over the floor. "They ate him," Lex said. The raptors fought over the remains of the baby, rearing back and butting heads. Tim found that the door was unlocked, and him and Lex went into the other room. From the green glow, he realized that it was the DNA extraction lab. Hearing the snorts of the raptors, they went to the back of the lab and through the other door. Tim saw another door with a blue biohazard sign, moving into it and subtly colliding with something big, and Lex shrieked in terror. "Take it easy," Grant said, Tim blinking in disbelief as Grant and Gennaro stood above them. Now the raptors were coming towards them. The animal seemed hesitant, surprised by the appearance of more people. Grant pushed the kids into Gennaro's arms and said, "Take them back someplace safe." "Through there," Grant said, pointing over his shoulder to a far door. "Take them to the control room. You all should be safe there." "What are you going to do?" Gennaro said. The raptors stood near the door. Grant noticed that they waited until all the animals were together, and then they moved in. As a group. As pack hunters. "I have a plan," Grant said. "Now go on." As Gennaro led the kids away, the raptors came forward without hesitation, sniffing the floor, repeatedly ducking their heads. Grant heard the click of the door and turned around to look at everyone. They were standing on the other side of the glass door, looking at him. Gennaro shook his head. Grant knew what that meant. There was no door to the control room beyond. Gennaro and the kids were trapped. It was all up to him now. Grant moved slowly, edging to the door in the back, which was marked "To Laboratory" with a blue biohazard sign. Making sure that the raptors were following him, he went in, hoping he was right. He turned. Yes! He was right where he wanted to be, in the hatchery. Grant ran directly to the rear of the hatchery, into a glass-walled laboratory with ultraviolet light. His clothes glowed blue. The raptors entered the room cautiously at first, sniffing the humid air. Silently, the raptors passed between the long tables, ducking from time to time to peer beneath the tables. They were looking for him. Grant saw a metal hood with a skull and crossbones. A sign on it said, "Caution, biogenetics toxin A4, precautions required." He remembered that Ed Regis said they were powerful poisons and only a few molecules would kill instantly. He flipped over the cover and pushed the button. With a soft hiss, the hood slid upwards. He grabbed the toxin and syringes and moved towards the raptors. He had devoted his whole life to studying dinosaurs. Now he would see how much he really knew. Velociraptors were just like other small carnivorous dinosaurs, like oviraptors. Animals long thought to steal eggs, just as certain modern birds ate the eggs of other birds. Grant had thought raptors would do the same. He bent down beneath the egg table and grabbed an egg and injected it, rolling it towards the raptors. The egg brushed up against the first raptor's sickle claw. It bent down, sniffed it, then moved on. "Damn," Grant thought, as he got another egg, injected it, this time rolling it much faster. The egg rattled across the floor loudly. One of the raptors instinctively chased after it, biting into the egg, crushing it. The raptor stood, licked its lips noisily, and snorted, biting into it again. The raptor did not seem the least distressed. It bent down to eat from it again, but from across the room, the raptor saw him. It was looking right at him. The raptor snarled menacingly as it moved towards Grant. Grant was shocked, frozen in fear, when suddenly the animal gasped and fell to the floor spasming. Foam bubbling from its mouth, the head flopped back and forth, the tail slammed and thud. That's one, Grant thought. The second raptor bent over the first, examining it, appearing to be puzzled by the death throes. It examined its neck, then its ribs, then its legs, and took a bite out of one of its legs. The dying animal snarled and sunk its teeth into the neck of its attacker. That's two, Grant thought, but the standing animal wrenched free, blood flowing from its neck. With one swift motion, the raptor sliced open the belly of the dying one, and the screams of a dying raptor filled the room. The attacker bent down and came back up with a glowing egg. Grant watched as the raptor bit into it, the glowing material dripping down its chin. That makes two. This time, the toxin acted instantly. The raptor coughed and fell forward, knocking over a table of eggs. Grant had one more syringe, but with the eggs everywhere, he would have to do something else. With the third raptor seeing him, but not moving forward for a long time. But it never took its gaze off Grant. Grant, trying to think of anything to do, remembered that he had a radio in his pocket. He pulled it out and turned it on. "Hello, this is Grant." "Alan," Ellie said. "Listen," he said back. "Just talk." "Alan, is that you?" she persisted. "Talk," he said, pushing the radio across the floor. "Alan," she said. The raptor stopped, sniffing the air as to tell if someone else was in there with them. "Alan, it's me. I don't know if you can hear me." The raptor turned away from Grant and moved towards the radio. But the radio wasn't that far away. The big tail was right over Grant's head. He took the syringe, jabbing it deep into the flesh of the tail, injecting the poison. The raptor snarled and jumped back with frightening speed as it swung back at Grant as he rolled. He felt the sharp, searing pain along his shoulder and felt the sun-warm flow of blood over his shirt. Up against the wall, Grant had nowhere else to go. The animal raised its foot a final time and toppled backwards, foaming at the mouth. Gennaro and the kids came into the room, Grant signaling them to stay back. The girl looked at the dying raptor and said, "Wow." Gennaro helped Grant to his feet, and they all ran back to the control room. Alright, out of every scene in this book, this has got to be one of my favorites. Dr. Grant takes down 3 raptors in a really creative way using poison and eggs. And of course, hoping he was right about the raptors being egg thieves like similar species. All of this tense and suspenseful parts in the scene would transfer nicely onto the big screen in my opinion. But hey, what's your opinion on this? Tell me about it in the comments below. And thank you for taking the time to view this. And if you liked it enough, please give me a like and subscribe. I will definitely be making more Jurassic Park videos and movie reviews. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time.